So this is my latest video. I created it after I took a class with Orly Aveniri called Stay a While. And she talks a lot about wabi-sabi, and I have a quote here about it. And most of this video comes from within, though there was some inspiration from without. This is a picture of a pretty little girl. And then back here is just a little girl in shorts and a t-shirt, and she's cut off, and it says, the wrong kind of kid. Because when I was a little girl, I just wasn't accepted as the little girl that I was. My mom wanted me to be this little girl, but I was a tomboy. And this is a picture that I did. It was just some gel press, and I went ahead and used this and a little bit of what looked like a fence and added this, and of course it says not what it seems. You look at the outside of things and there's a whole lot going on underneath. This is a page from a boiled journal that I did with a class that I took from Franciscan Heart Makes on Instagram. And this is tissue paper right here, this part that I downloaded for free from Suzanne Rose Arts on Instagram, and then I kind of did my own thing, and I added with you know what I mean. Anyway, I added water to kind of delineate the colors. I just love how it turned out. And I use a lot of little vignettes from the Artist Creed. And this one says, I believe that when I entered this space, I have the right to work in silence, uninterruptedly, for as long as I choose. And this is just an old vintage car. We used to own one of these when I was a little girl. And some old paper, and anyway, you can see. And this is just a page that I kind of threw together with, this is a paper from Beatrice Helton on Instagram, and this leaf came from California from my friend Judy. It's Jude's Creations, and this is some flowers from my yard. And this one says, I believe that my work is joyful, useful, and constantly changing, flowing through me like a river with no beginning and no end. This is just a sketch of some sea oats that I did while I was at the beach. And I just kind of sketched these flowers upside down there was some white gesso on here. It's a scrap paper, and that's an image that Michelle from Raspberry Blue Sky created, and I downloaded that. This is just a page that I kind of threw together, bits and pieces that I love the colors of. This is from my friend Dar Winter, Dar63 Instagram. I believe that my work is worthy of its own space, which is worthy of the name sacred. And I just love this page. This is from gel printing, and I accidentally tore it off, and I just love the look. A little collage I threw together. This is a piece from beeswax, which I've learned is encaustic, and that's a woman all kind of dressed up. She reminded me of my mother in an old house that I grew up in back in East Brunswick, New Jersey. And of course I put unlike her, because I'm not like her. I'm very different from my mom. Some fabric I found in the bin at a thrift store. I love using my Tim Holtz stapler, so I kind of stapled that in there and stitched on it. I love to just randomly stitch. Again, a little, just some scraps thrown together. I believe that what truly matters in the making of art is not what is the final piece looks or sounds like, not what it is worth or not worth, but what newness gets added to the universe in the process of the piece itself becoming. I'm very much a process artist, and that's what I like to do. And this is a piece that I just created on a piece of Braille paper that a friend of mine at Paper Bits and Baubles, her name is Brenda, she sent to me one time. And I just love how the paint comes through. And these are my words that I wrote on a piece of tissue paper that I put down there with matte medium. Just a flower that I sketched using India ink and pastels. And on the back paper is from gel printing. I believe that the time I spend creating my art is as precious as the time I spend giving to others. I believe that. So, again, this was gel print, and then that's India ink, and I just love the way it spread as I rotated the pages. And my feeling when I see that is unspoken words in silence. Here's another piece that is, this was a print I got online. It's actually a tissue transfer, and I gel printed it down and stitched around it. And that is a saying that I found, and I just copied it in my printing, and that's on a piece of canvas. And this is that yummy material I got at the thrift store. Another saying that's on the Artist Creed: I believe that I am not alone in my attempts to create, that once I begin the work, settle into the strangeness, the words will take shape, the form find life, and the spirit take flight. An open-ended piece, India ink, just scribble scrabble, some charcoal pencil on an eco-dyed page. And then this is a piece of fabric from my friend Martha, my Mixed Media Fun. And I loved this image I found, I think on Pinterest. And it's a tissue transfer. I believe that what it is I am called to do will make itself known when I have made myself ready. I love the double image there. And again, that's on a eco-dyed paper I made a while ago. Here's just a bit of mishmash. I love this paper I created. I love the brown paper bag underneath and this paper, and then I just went with a shape that was in there and sketched out a heart. This is fabric from my friend Suzanne on Instagram, and I don't remember her whole handle. And this is a piece that my friend Dar, my bestie, Dar63, she made this for me. It's crocheted with cheesecloth, and I waited and waited and waited, and finally I found a place I love it. Anyways, isn't that a gorgeous eco-dyed fabric? And that kind of covers over this page that I absolutely am in love with. It's a tissue. I printed the image on tissue and then put it down on the brown paper bag that had gesso and on the back, and some newsprint, some newspaper, dictionary page. And I believe that the moment I open myself to the gifts of the muse, I open myself to the source of all creation and become one with the mother of life itself. That's powerful. Wow. Paper bag, had some gesso on it. I put some tissue paper on it, played around with a little bit of India ink, and then just kind of sketched some doodads there, a little tree. This is a conglomeration of a bunch of stuff, some collage, a button that my friend Susan, who is, I'll come up with it in a little while. Anyway, I love this piece. I love working with cardboard. This is some India ink here. This page, this is a feather of one of the seabirds I saw when I was there last week at the beach for a while, and the backing is this really cool handmade paper that I got in California last year. This is tissue, and I just love the people all together like that, because unfortunately now we're not able to be that way with the way it is in the world. Some more tissue printing that I used matte medium to put on. And this is a piece of gel printed paper too. Here's a scene from the beach. Typically don't do that, but the ocean had these amazing patterns during low tide, the floor, the beach itself. And I tried to recreate that. And then these are various feathers and things I found in the water, and this is some sea oats. Anyway, this is fabric from the thrift store, from a blouse, and I just love the pattern. So I wanted to use that. And then this is a piece that I just threw in the dye pot one time. You can see some of the highlights. And this was just a tracing in a fabulous journal that I purchased from Elizabeth Tikvan. She's on Instagram, and you know, I just love her little faces, so I kind of traced it and did my own thing with it. I believe that what I am called to do will make itself known when I have made myself ready. I just love that. It's on paper bag here. It's the other side of that fabric. And just a little sketching with some a Uniball pen and some collaging bits and pieces I had on my desk. Here's a piece that I absolutely love. It's a piece of my eco-dyed paper with a black netting over it and little double hearts together. And I stitched it on the page. It has just significant meaning to me in my life. And a page I played around with while I was at the beach last week. It was an eco-dyed print, and it has some India ink and gesso, black and white, pastels, and anyway, just some fun. And I love this piece. Again, it's that yummy fabric. I don't know what it is. Feels like heavy. I don't know. I don't even know. This is a piece of canvas, very, very frayed canvas that I wrote feel and stitched around. This is a piece from that piece I showed you before from my friend. This is from Classic Petunia. My friend Susan sent this to me in a little goodie bag, so I wanted to stitch that on there. I like having pieces of my friends in my books. I just like how the organic looks here. Anyway, this is from, I think, Somerset Studios, or the latest art journaling magazine. I don't even know who it is. I can't remember. I love the image, but of course I wrote this is not me, because that isn't me. I don't dress like that or even look like that. Then I had decided to scribble a little, and then I wanted to stitch. So I kind of put it through my machine, which was tricky because I don't have one of those free-floating feeds. So anyway, fun. I love this page. I love this page. This is a gel print. Then I hand sketched this on. No, I traced this on from a piece that my friend Dar had. Then I used some tissue, a napkin she gave me, and I cut out, after she showed me how, the little ovals of different colors. Then I matte gelled them on, and then I circled them with some pencil. And I love how the stitching flows through. It looks a little bit like fall too, which is approaching in most parts of the country except here. I believe that my work is joyful, useful, and constantly changing, flowing through me like a wet river with no beginning and no end. Part of that artist creed. This was an image in one of my spirituality and health magazines, and I just loved it, so I knew I was going to use it one day. And the stitching that went through the middle is kind of significant of some things that are deep inside of me. Again, this is on Braille from my friend Brenda, and I just had stamped with one of my homemade stamps on a piece of heavier canvas, stitched it on there, and part of an eco-dyed page there. Just kind of loved how I threw those together. This is really cool. I just wish I hadn't messed it up, but it was I printed this on tissue paper, and there's 3 images there. I kind of messed it up trying to show you the eyes. But anyway, it was torn paper, and I loved how I dissected it with the string from that yummy paper I found at the thrift store. And this is a piece of fabric from a blouse from a thrift store. Who are you? The many faces that we have. And of course I did some stitching, and then this I found on Instagram, and I wish I could remember who posted it. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. And the I is the world. And it just reaches deep down into me. I don't know why. Here's a piece I just kind of played with. It was a scrap paper that I would use to wipe brushes and stuff on. And basically what I wrote was, meet me in the middle. Did a little doodling here and some stitching. And same thing here, the other side of that thin paper bag. Some scrap paper that I stitched on, and then I kind of played around and kind of pulled an image out. Man, does she have big lips. Anyway, I'm not a sketcher. I love this piece. This is a piece that my friend Erin from Layers Touch Textures on Instagram, she sent me a page she made, a picture. I love it so much that I copied it. Of course, it didn't all come out, and then I put it in my journal and added some flowers from my yard that I had pressed, and some stitching on burlap, and then some ink on the back of the page, which I just love. Of course, I love to stitch everything, so thank you, Erin. It's the back of that paper, and it's paper from my friend Martha, My Mixed Media Fun, and I just love it. And I love the ink that came through, and the stitching, the organic raw look. I love it like that. This is another piece of that paper I got from, I downloaded it free from Suzanne Rose Arts on Instagram, and I played around with it using pastels and water and just sketching. And then I added my own bits and pieces on the side. The other half of that boiled page, boiled journal page, was just beautiful. Just gorgeous the way it came out. It's an old book, vintage book page. And a piece from scraps that was on my underpaper, but I love the organic look, so I saved it. And this is my ending. This book, this picture came from a book that's from 1898, and it says, I believe that as the muse gives to me, so does she deserve from me faith, mindfulness, and enduring commitment. And my love of small children. I was a teacher for 28 years. I did a little stitching. This is the tail end. A little boy who owned this arithmetic book wrote in it. I love that organic look, so I left it. The back end, you can see how old the book was. And here's the binding. I did a 5-stitch pamphlet, and here's the front. And right there it says Journey. And I love this piece of lace, so I had to put it over there, and the cover was inspired by my friend Elizabeth. Thank you.